What's good, guys? This week is going to be all about trap drum patterns, from both listening to a lot of trap music and making a lot of it. Let's get it. I just pulled in a loop, Southpaw drum and loop kit. I'll link that down below if y'all need some good sounds. The second section. Before I get into all these patterns, the info in this video is all basically opinion, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to give you general ideas for patterns. You should at least know what the rules are before you break them. Let's start off with a clap pattern. Let's open a pattern region. For trap beats, the clap is very simple. Just click this middle square and you're good. Convert that to MIDI to show you guys. It just goes one hit in the center of each measure. Now let's get into hi-hats. Okay, so I have a pattern region open. I'm just going to turn this from 16th notes to 8th notes. Click this arrow so it fills up the sequencer. That's going to give you a two-step hi-hat pattern, which is what you hear a lot of the time. Hi-hat patterns based off of this two-step. Note repeats, which are going to be your hi-hat rolls. I'll show you a couple little hot spots. One of them is on the very first note, and you kind of roll in there. This third square usually sounds clean, pretty much with any type of melody, so let's hear that. Any notes right before the clap hits, super useful places to put rolls. It kind of glides into that clap. Then I'm going to go 32 steps, doubles over the pattern twice. I'm just going to change it up a little bit in this second half. Other than those spots, you can kind of play off of the 808 pattern rolls, like the note before or after an 808 hits. What I like to do, because it allows you more freedom, right click that pattern and go convert to MIDI region. Now I can edit those rolls in a more precise way. I'm just going to change up some of the pitches of the rolls and a couple velocity rolls too. That's pretty much gonna wrap up hi-hat rolls. Like a little bonus tip, you can try, and sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, fill this pattern, but keep it on 16th notes instead of two-step. To bring more energy to the beat and give it more of a hype vibe. Before I move on to snares, one thing I want to mention is in quick sampler like this, you want to make sure that this velocity meter turned all the way up. You won't be able to get the full range of velocity otherwise. And let's jump into snares now. Lately you hear a lot of intricate rolls and stuff, but before I get to any of that, kind of the basic bounce is gonna make the most sense. So you hit this third square and this second to last one. 32 steps, and these are kind of the notes you want to mess with. It's going to look like this. Now you don't want to use all these notes every time. If you're going to do rolls, I'd suggest throwing them in the last bar or half bar of your pattern. I'm going to start with seeing which of these notes I want to hold on to. For snare rolls, the way I do it at least is you start based on a 8th triplet note pattern, something like this. You can just kind of take notes out and replace certain notes with faster rolls. It sounds like this to start with. Let's see. Trail out with a roll instead, and it should sound pretty fire. I'm just going to do a sweep from high to low. The snare patterns that I showed you guys, you can also use rim shots in pretty much that same style of pattern. There's two different types of open hat bounces I want to show you guys. There's one that's like more for accenting empty slots in the beat, and there's a different vibe where you're just putting open hat to accentuate your 808 hits, kind of. I'll start with the first one, this fourth square and this fourth to last square. Gonna be like your go-tos for that type of pattern. Again, I'd use like one of these per 32 steps on average. Just has like a little accent hit in the first fourth of a bar and the third fourth of a bar. For the other bounce, which I've been personally liking more lately, is based more around the 808s. I'm gonna actually come back to the open hats once I get the 808s down. Throw one on the one though. Now let's jump into 808s. If you're pulling 808s into Quick Sampler, this is how I do it. Drag it into original mode. Your polyphony is in mono. Make sure your envelope here is on ADSR. Set to a square shape. Velocities all the way up. And you want to make sure you're using 808 that's in tune. Above really anything else is make sure you're using high quality sounds, because if your sounds suck, your beats aren't going to go anywhere. I definitely recommend picking up my Southpaw drum and loop kit that I dropped super recently, my best kit yet. If you're looking for strictly 808s, the 808 Armory kit, hard unique 808s, both kits down below. One of my 808s from the Southpaw kit sounds like this. So that's nice and punchy, sort of a long 808, so we just want to make sure we don't overdo it. I've showed you guys before, especially in trap music, there is like a pretty locked in groove you want to memorize inside and out and manipulate it, etc. But here's that bounce you want to start off by knowing. That's what that bounce looks like over 4 bars, and stretch them out. These 5 notes in 2 bars are kind of what you want to build your ideas off of. Pretty much always sounds lit in my opinion, but this is what you want to build off of, and it sounds like this. Once you know this pattern really well, sauce it up by putting extra hits, and when you have that envelope set to a square, you can pull back hits, cut off, give a little bit of silence for extra bounce. What I do is I like to stick between A sharp and like E, are kind of the sweet spots. That's what usually sounds the best. You can always throw double hits on certain notes so they're more impactful. Or you can do that before the note hits. Pull the 808 hit back so it cuts off when the clap hits. Super tight sounding bounce. Pitch off notes up an octave, shift option up. It's a way of using the same note, it's in a different octave, so it has a different feel to it. Now that we have that, I'll show you guys what I would do for this particular beat. Start from scratch. Go up a couple octaves and make sure I'm hitting the right notes in the scale. And then it goes up. Pull the velocity up and drop that down to the C3 octave where the 808 comes in. Alright, let's mess with it. I'm gonna throw a hit right here. Pitch that down. Copy that over. Sauce up the second half now. I'll just chop this in half. Right here, and pitch that down an octave. That'll definitely work for what we need for this beat, and let me run that from the top for y'all. Like I said, I'm going to go back to the open hat, and we're going to draw in some emphasis on some but not all of those 808. Nice high end to those 808 hits. It sounds more intentional in a way. works. So that'll round out the main drums you're going to be using in trap beats. Thank you all for watching to the end. Remember to like the video, drop a comment, and hit subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs on the channel by 2025, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Xavier.